That's it.
Is that it?
Brad, how much time do you spend looking at the standings?
Not a ton. Obviously we've got an idea, a general idea, but I don't know specifically amount of games separated by all the teams. I think the biggest thing that is, from my standpoint, is we have 20 games left and 41 days left in the regular season. We just got to try to get a little bit better every day, and so that's about the extent of it. I mean, we don't talk about it a ton. The players might, but we certainly don't as a staff.
With that said, do you think you guys could catch Toronto for the second spot? You're like 4 games behind them.
Hey, we're 4 games away from 9th, so I don't know, Bill. I mean, I think the biggest thing to do is stay in the moment and try to play as well as we can against the Knicks. I have no idea about all that stuff. There's a lot of factors that go into that, how other teams are playing and everything else, and I'm not good enough to worry about the other 29 teams.
20 games left. What kind of an advantage is it over last year that you're not moving new guys into the lineup, that you're able to just work on your existing?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some good things with that. I mean, hopefully by now these guys know that we're not going to be riding emotional roller coasters. We're just going to try to get better. We're just going to try to move forward regardless of outcome and regardless of result. We can talk about things that we've done from a corporate knowledge standpoint, things that we've tried to do, different ways that we've tried to guard Carmelo Anthony or Porzingis or whatever the case may be, and you can quickly refresh that and then tweak appropriately, and I think that at least you have that backing. It doesn't guarantee you're going to play well, but it does, it makes the time you have to spend together less. It makes the time on the court less as you're getting preparation, and the more time we can prepare with clear mind and fresh legs, the better to me.
Brad, in your 3rd season, what have you learned about, at this point of the season, managing practice versus rest time for your team?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I was never a huge practice guy late in the year. I never practiced much more than an hour and 15 once we got into late January, February, March. And it's about being as good as you can be with the time you have. And hey, we've made it a big priority to give our guys as much rest as possible. I mean, we haven't shot around in the morning. We did it once all year here at home, and every other time we've come at 4, just so that you have an accumulation of rest. And is that right, wrong, or indifferent? I don't know, but it's something that we believe that, again, fresh legs are important for these guys.
Is it validating for you on the days when you might give them a day off or sort of thing, like the other day they're all staying after practice?
Yeah, so one of my former bosses used to say that the sign of a team that's really invested is they're staying and shooting afterwards, and I believe that. I think that when you stay and shoot, when you put your work in, that's a really good thing. And when you have a lot of energy in that, you're not just going through the motions, that's a good sign.
Do you mention the S-word streak with your team?
No, I don't. We haven't even talked about it. I think I was asked this the other day as far as talking about home and road. We don't spend a lot of time on it. I've talked about at times when we haven't played as well here, the responsibility of playing well in Boston because of the fans appreciate team and the fans appreciate effort. But other than that, we haven't talked about it. I mean, it is what it is, and it's really fragile.
During the preseason, it seemed like you weren't really sure exactly where Jared fit in. What about him kind of forced his way back into the rotation and then into the starting lineup?
Well, I thought, the one thing during the preseason that was really good for him was his defensive contribution. And he struggled a little bit in October to make shots and to find the basket and those type of things. We had a logjam at that spot, as you know, and that defense and that rebounding kind of won out in the early part, and now everything else is really, he's playing at a good level. Hey, you're supposed to get more comfortable as you get older. You're supposed to get better as you get older, more experience. But he's done a lot of good things for our team.
Brad, you guys have seen a pretty significant uptick in offensive efficiency in the last couple months without the benefit of, elite shooting in that time span. What's kind of gone into you guys being able to sustain that without, being great in that area?
Brian, I looked at the stats the other day, and I was surprised we shot as poorly as we did from the field because I felt like we had a lot of good possessions. I think we're having good possessions, but I think we're also still getting some conversion points that, make it look a little bit better than it is. If you get a steal and you convert it on the other end, and you can play 2-on-1 or 1-on-0, that's a heck of an offensive possession, and that makes the numbers look a little bit better than they are.
How can Maine help RJ?
I think we just use Maine as a great opportunity for all of our players to get better. And I've said this before, the coaching up there with Scott and his staff is outstanding. They spend a lot of time with those guys. They often do a lot of individual work on practice and game days with those guys. They do a lot of film breakdown, and they're running all of our stuff on both ends of the floor. And so it's basically, an opportunity to play a game in our system, just 2 hours north, and it makes a lot of sense. The one thing that we're trying to be cognizant of is that they're healthy. They've got a ton of guys. They just added a couple guys. We probably won't be sending 3 up at a time like we've done before, but it could be as many as 2, depending on the health of our team here.
Brad, how much do the players feed off the fans in this building?
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, and it's been great for us even the entire time I've been here. Obviously, the fans have embraced this group, and it is a fun group. Like, the way that they play, I laugh sometimes because we do some pretty haphazard things, and even I'm entertained over there sometimes and have no idea what's going to happen.
Brad, what do you think the greatest area of growth has been for this team?
I don't know. I think, Bill, we've gotten better execution-wise, gotten better offensively. We're still inconsistent on both ends of the floor to the point where we need to be when it's all said and done. I think the biggest thing is we've maintained just a general optimism. There's a positive vibe, and through thick and thin, and the guys they support one another. So I think the greatest growth is just in the day-to-day process of doing those little things to build some trust and to have it when you need it most.
You've struggled against some of the league's bigs, but you're still finding ways to win these games anyway. And when you're stopping guards, how do you kind of evaluate that piece of your defense, and is that something you want to work on?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, we spent a lot of time on it when we came back from Minnesota. We played Towns and Monroe back-to-back, and Monroe had really given us fits the game before. And even though we went 9 for 13, I thought we did way better on him, and we just continued to work on making it more difficult. And I think you just have to pick your poison. I mean, you have to pick, are you going to give up a 2, or are you going to double and potentially give up a 3? Are you up, you down? What do you need at that time? But yeah, we have to make those decisions sometimes, and these bigs have given us fits.